Look, I want to talk about tennis. I really do. I would love nothing more than to just talk about tennis, but apparently that's not how August 2021 is going to go, and I'm just going to talk about injuries. This is what the tennis gods had in store for us, unfortunately. Dominic Thiem is out for the remainder of the 2021 season. He's re-injured, I should say, his right wrist. Initially suffered the injury in Mallorca, a grass court tune-up prior to Wimbledon. He was in a first-round match against Mannarino, was in a wrist splint for many, many weeks thereafter, just recently took the splint off and began hitting tennis balls again. Unfortunately, in a training session, he experienced another setback. So the splint is back on, and he will not play for the remainder of the season. Very bad news for Thiem. I'm going to break it down on a couple of angles in this video, which is brought to you by Rally Tennis. Rally Tennis is a mobile app that makes it easy to play tennis in your area. Doesn't matter if you want to compete or just train. Rally Tennis works either way, and creating an account is free. Just head over to rallytennis.com or search for Rally Tennis in the App Store. And if you sign up and use me as the referrer, you'll also get $10 towards your account. Dominic Thiem was not having a good 2021 before this injury happened. He had just lost to Pablo Andújar at Roland Garros, and clearly he was a shell of himself when it comes to intensity and fitness. More than anything, it was just really the mental. And it was Dominic Thiem, the regular fiery competitor who works so hard on the court and wants it so bad, was just having trouble bringing that intensity to the court. And I would assume that those same issues, he was having trouble bringing it to the gym, having trouble bringing it to the practice court. All of these things go hand in hand. So it hadn't been a good season when this injury occurred, and now the season's over. It's a tough pill to swallow, given the triumphant 2020 he had, winning his first major title in New York, and the tennis that was on display for the entirety of 2020 was a culmination of a year by year steady growth that we were seeing from Thiem. It was so great to see from 17 to 18 to 19 to 20. The path that Thiem was on and the way he was improving was sensational to watch. And then in 2021, it didn't just plateau, it really crashed down. And that is so hard to watch and so unfortunate. But I do have a glass half full possibility here. I have a perspective that is that if you are an optimist, if you are an optimist, you might want to buy into this, which is that maybe Dominic Thiem needed a break. If you're someone who believes in all things happen for a reason, I'm not really that guy. I'm not an all things happen for a reason guy, but a lot of people are, and maybe it's true. I don't know. But if you are that person, there is a world, there is a scenario, and there is a logical path to follow where you could say maybe this could be what Thiem needs long-term as a 27-year-old who really needed to find a new, measurement of I don't know if I want to say measurement of self-worth, but he needed to rethink why he plays, why he competes, why he goes out there, because clearly the answer was always, I want to win a major. I need to win a major. And then when it happened, he just struggled to figure out what's next? Where's the next, what am I working towards now? What am I doing next? If that was the struggle, then maybe he really needed a breakaway from the game. It's not far-fetched. It's not far-fetched because so many players have benefited from being gone for an extended period of time. I think the most high-profile example is Ashley Barty, who said she just needed to reset mentally. She stopped enjoying the game. She had similar issues with her motivation. So she went back home and she did what she loved for a couple years. And she played a little rugby and she played a little cricket. And then once she missed tennis, once she had that itch, that desire to come back, then she knew it was time to go back and do it. And then when she did, she felt refreshed. She felt thankful to put in the work and to go through the grind of the tour. That is a fantastic and enjoyable grind for so many players, but it's very easy for players to stop enjoying that, and it can go both ways. They're people just like everyone else, and they have a job to do, and mental health is a factor here. So Ash Barty's a high profile example. I think that the pandemic was another example of this. When you saw players forced to take a break from the game, there were some instances where they came back and it was like, whoa, who the heck is this person? This wasn't the person who, mentally especially, this wasn't the person that we knew before the pause. Nadia Podoroska was struggling to be a professional tennis player on the ITF Tour. Comes back, Roland Garros semifinals. Now she's a legitimate top 50 player. Aslan Karatsev on the men's side. Kind of a challenger level player. Not kind of, a challenger level player. Comes back, top 30 guy. What happened there? Sometimes you just stop, you take a break, you reset completely, and it can help. And maybe, just maybe, that'll happen for Dominic Thiem. Or if you are not an optimist, look, let's face it, the level that Dominic Thiem achieved at 27 years of age in 2020 was a uber high level, and crazier things have happened than a player peaking at 27 years of age and never reaching that again. Crazier things have happened. Could that happen? Sure. Sure, that could happen. It really is quite impossible to predict. But now let's face the reality of the remainder of the 2021 season, because this is significant. I felt that even as Thiem was struggling at the start of the year, I felt the question was, is he going to recapture what he had in 2020 and 2019? Is he going to recapture it in time for the U.S. Open? You kind of knew that Wimbledon, even if he started to find the mojo, he wasn't really going to be a threat at Wimbledon. But the U.S. Open, that's 2-3 months from now when we were looking at Mallorca. And if Thiem could just re-find the fire, he was suddenly going to become a contender and someone to discuss as he went to defend his title. And ever since Thiem won Indian Wells in 2019, I think it was pretty easy to predict that the U.S. Open was going to be a good place for him. Younger than his big three rivals, slow conditions that reward his power. Dominic Thiem's a great player on slow hard courts. Okay, the point is he is a contender at the U.S. Open when he's at his best. And in 2021, he will not be in New York. He will be a non-factor. That changes the tour at the very top. That's a really, really big deal. That's a big deal for three players, primarily. It's a big deal for Djokovic. It's a big deal for Medvedev. It's a big deal for Tsitsipas. It's a big deal for Nadal, although I think Nadal plays Thiem really well, generally speaking. And we'll see if Nadal's healthy come U.S. Open. I really think that right now, when it comes to winning the U.S. Open, it would be a surprise at this point if Nadal could do it, given his health. But you're looking at the three favorites would be Djokovic, Medvedev, and Tsitsipas. And look at what Dominic Thiem has done to them in recent years. Start with Djokovic, naturally, the favorite. Well, Thiem's beaten Djokovic 5 out of their last 7 meetings. And when they played in the Australian Open final, Djokovic's home base, the most difficult circumstance to play Novak Djokovic, you cannot think of a more difficult place to play him than on the second Sunday inside Rod Laver Arena. And Thiem was up 2-1. It goes 5 sets, and Djokovic pulls it out. Thiem's been a tougher matchup for Djokovic than anyone else in the last couple years. Anyone else. Medvedev had his shot, 2020 U.S. Open. It's Daniil Medvedev's favorite surface. Medvedev on a hard court. Djokovic out after the default. Who ended Medvedev's run at the title? Dominic Thiem. there was no Dominic Thiem, Daniil Medvedev could have a major right now. And given the state of Zverev's nerves, he wasn't ready to win that match, really. He almost did win it because Thiem's nerves weren't much better. But if Medvedev just showed up on Sunday and could play at a 70% level, given the moment, he would have hoisted the trophy in the end. Thiem beat Medvedev in 3 sets. 3 sets. I was shocked. I got that pick wrong. I thought Medvedev was going to win that match. And lastly, Tsitsipas. They've had a very competitive record, and Thiem has a winning 5-3, but obviously that is another extremely competitive rivalry. Him out of the equation, that's a really big deal for Djokovic, Medvedev, and Tsitsipas. So I don't know that there's any natural conclusion to this, but it'll be interesting to see what the legacy of 2021 is for Dominic Thiem. Obviously, it will be he was a non-factor in terms of contending for the big titles, but will it be he struggled to find his motivation, then he got injured, and then he came back, and the refresh was actually kind of a blessing in disguise? Or will it be kind of the turning point where Dominic Thiem crashed after his peaking 2020 season and could never quite reach those heights again? That could be the long-term legacy. In the short term, a contender is down for the U.S. Open. And how many contenders will that be? Will Nadal join the ranks? We'll have to see. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you next time.